Jake sat back on the couch, rolling his eyes as he watched his sister, Emma, meticulously apply layers of eyeshadow in front of the mirror. Seriously, how many colors do you need for just your eyelids? He teased, munching on a bag of chips. You'd think you were going to a royal ball or something. Emma shot him a glare in the mirror's reflection, but didn't skip a beat. You don't get it, Jake. Makeup isn't just makeup. It's an art form. She sighed dramatically. But I wouldn't expect you to understand. Oh, trust me, I understand, he smirked, sarcasm dripping from his voice. I understand that you spend, like, half your life getting ready just to go get coffee. Emma paused, her eyes lighting up as an idea flickered across her face. Actually, you know what? I think you could use a lesson in this art form of mine. How about you give it a try? Jake's eyebrows shot up, surprised by the challenge. Oh yeah? What, you want to pay me up like some kind of dolls? Emma smirked.
Something like that.
Let's say it's a social experiment. We'll turn you into Jessica. Yes, I've already picked out a name for your new look, and see how you handle a day in my shoes. Jake laughed, shaking his head. Jessica?
Please.
I don't think anyone's going to fall for that.
Oh, really?
Afraid you can't pull it off, she goaded, a mischievous smile playing at her lips. Fine, he said, unable to resist a challenge. Let's see if you're as good with this art form as you say. Let's turn me into Jessica. But only for one day. Emma's eyes gleamed with excitement as she jumped up and started pulling out an array of makeup products, a couple of outfits she'd stashed away for the occasion, and even a wig she'd used for a Halloween costume. All right, let's do this. Trust me, you're going to look so real you won't even recognize yourself. Jake slouched in the chair, feeling a mix of discomfort and curiosity as Emma began to work on him. She started with the basics: foundation to smooth his complexion, contour to add definition, and a bit of blush to give his face a softer, more feminine appearance. This is so weird, Jake muttered, watching his reflection slowly morph in the mirror. Just relax, Emma said, grinning. It's only makeup. You'd be amazed how much of a difference it can make. As Emma continued, she guided him through each step, explaining the process with a passion he'd never noticed before. He found himself drawn into the details, even asking questions here and there, like why certain shades worked better or how to blend without looking like he'd painted his face. All right, now for the eyes, Emma said, holding up an eyeshadow palette. This part is where the magic happens. Jake had to admit, the transformation was fascinating. As Emma applied layers of shadow, liner, and mascara, he watched his features shift, becoming softer, more mysterious. When she applied a subtle pink lipstick and handed him the mirror, he was genuinely taken aback. Whoa, that's me? He stammered, leaning closer to inspect the image staring back at him. It was him, but somehow not him, a softer, polished version of his face that he would never have recognized. Yep, that's you, Jessica, Emma said proudly, fluffing the wig and securing it onto his head. The long, chestnut-colored hair cascaded down his shoulders, completing the illusion. Okay, now for the outfit. Emma rummaged through her closet, pulling out a simple yet stylish dress, tights, and a pair of flats. Put these on, and Jessica will be ready to go. Jake swallowed nervously but shrugged it off. All right, here goes nothing. An hour later, Jake, now fully transformed into Jessica, stepped out into the world with Emma by his side. The two made their way to a nearby cafe, and Jake felt an odd mixture of anxiety and excitement bubbling up. Every step felt unfamiliar, his senses heightened as he navigated the world from a new perspective. At first, he was hyper-aware of everyone around him, feeling like each passerby was somehow in on the secret. But to his surprise, nobody paid him any particular attention. As they ordered their drinks, he noticed the cashier glancing his way with a warm smile, no different than how he might look at Emma. See? Emma whispered, nudging him playfully as they found a table. No one suspects a thing. Jake took a deep breath, feeling a wave of relief mixed with exhilaration. It was liberating, in a way, to be perceived as someone entirely different. But it wasn't just the thrill of deception. There was something oddly comfortable about being Jessica, a softer, more vulnerable version of himself. They chatted and laughed, blending in seamlessly with the cafe's relaxed atmosphere. As the minutes ticked by, Jake found himself growing more comfortable, almost forgetting the makeup and clothes. When they finally left the cafe, Jake turned to Emma, a strange sense of gratitude mixed with uncertainty. "Okay, I'll admit, this was kind of fun," he said, glancing down at the dress. "I feel weird saying that, but yeah, it was a cool experiment." Emma grinned.
See?
"And you didn't even mess up your makeup once." They laughed, and as they made their way home, Jake felt a strange pang of disappointment at the thought of removing everything and going back to being himself. That night, after Emma had gone to bed, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that had taken root. It was supposed to be a prank, a one-time experiment. But now, lying in bed, he found himself reliving the experience, feeling the weight of the wig on his shoulders, the way people had looked at him, the sense of freedom he'd felt. Before he even realized what he was doing, Jake was watching makeup tutorials on his phone, following along with interest as various beauty gurus outlined the basics. It was as though the experience had awakened a part of him that he'd never known existed. For the next few days, Jake tried to push the curiosity out of his mind, but it lingered, gnawing at him. Finally, on a quiet Saturday afternoon when he knew Emma would be out with friends, he found himself in front of her vanity, his hands trembling with a mix of excitement and nerves. He took a deep breath, pulling out the makeup products he'd seen Emma use on him and, with shaky hands, began applying them himself. Each step felt strange, yet exhilarating. The colors, the textures, the way his face transformed with each layer, it was a process that felt both foreign and instinctive. When he finally finished, he looked at himself in the mirror, staring into the eyes of Jessica once more. This time, it felt different. This time, he'd done it all himself. He quickly pulled on one of Emma's dresses and slipped into a pair of flats. As he stood in front of the mirror, he couldn't help but smile. Jessica felt real now, as if she were a part of him that had simply been waiting to emerge. Jake's secret explorations continued for the next few weeks. He learned the basics of makeup, figured out what styles of clothing suited him best, and even began to develop a distinct Jessica persona. It was like stepping into another world, one where he could leave behind his usual swagger and adopt a softer, more introspective side. But one evening, as he was perfecting his look in front of the mirror, he heard Emma's voice behind him. "Jessica?" she asked, her tone a mix of surprise and amusement. Jake froze, his heart pounding. He turned slowly to find Emma standing in the doorway, arms crossed, but with a gentle smile on her face. "I knew it," she said, laughing as she walked over to inspect his handiwork. "I had a feeling you were enjoying that little experiment a bit too much." Jake stammered, trying to come up with an explanation, but Emma held up a hand, silencing him. "Hey, no need to explain. I think it's awesome. In fact, if you want, I can help you out. I've got a lot more tricks up my sleeve." Jake's eyes widened. "You mean you don't think it's weird?" Emma shook her head. "Jake, life is too short to care what anyone else thinks. If you enjoy being Jessica, then why not? Besides, I've always wanted a sister." They both laughed, and from that moment on, the transformation that had started as a prank became a shared secret, a bond that brought them closer than ever. Over the following weeks, Jessica became more than a passing experiment. With Emma's encouragement and support, Jake started to find joy in exploring this new side of himself. The siblings developed a secret routine on weekends. Emma would teach him makeup techniques, help him choose outfits, and even coach him on posture, voice, and mannerisms. It wasn't just about looking the part, but embodying the confidence that came with it. At first, Jessica's outings remained low-key. Quick trips to a nearby cafe or a walk in the park. Each time, the nervous energy of stepping out in public gave way to excitement and liberation. Jake felt like he was peeling back layers he'd kept hidden for years, discovering sides of himself he hadn't known existed. One evening, as they walked arm in arm through the city center, Emma turned to him with a warm smile. "You know, you look so natural, Jake, or should I say Jessica?" He laughed, feeling a blush rise under his carefully applied foundation. "I don't know how you convinced me to come this far. A few months ago, I'd have thought you were crazy for even suggesting it." Emma squeezed his arm. Honestly, I think this was always in you. You just needed a little nudge to bring it out. Jessica's smile widened, and for the first time, Jake felt a sense of pride in this version of himself. He no longer saw Jessica as a disguise or a prank. She was an extension of him, a part of his identity he was only beginning to understand. With Emma's support, Jessica's world continued to grow. Jake started experimenting with new looks and even discovered a few pieces of his own that suited Jessica's style. Emma suggested a girls' night out, an idea that would have once terrified Jake, but now felt like an exciting step forward. They decided to attend a small gathering Emma's friend was hosting. The idea of meeting people as Jessica, beyond the safety of strangers on the street, made Jake's stomach flutter with nerves. But as they walked through the door, Emma's reassuring presence kept him calm. Emma's friends were welcoming, engaging Jessica in easy conversation, treating her no differently than any other guest. Each friendly smile and genuine interaction chipped away at his fears, and by the end of the evening, Jake felt as though he had been part of the group forever. He was Jessica, at ease, enjoying herself, laughing, and embracing her femininity. It was a transformative experience, showing Jake that Jessica wasn't just something he had to keep hidden. With the right people, Jessica could be celebrated. After the gathering, Jake found himself reflecting on his journey. What had started as a prank now felt like a vital part of his identity. He wasn't sure how to define it, whether it was about exploring gender expression, tapping into a softer side, or simply embracing parts of himself that didn't fit into his old image. He began writing about his experiences, capturing his thoughts, fears, and triumphs in a journal Emma had gifted him. Through his writing, Jake confronted the insecurities and questions that lingered. Was Jessica just a character he enjoyed playing? Or was she a part of him he wanted to keep exploring, maybe even incorporate into his life more fully? In one entry, he wrote, "Jessica feels like freedom. She lets me express things I've always hidden, things I didn't even know were there. But who am I really? Am I Jake? Am I Jessica? Or am I a blend of both?" Emma read some of his entries with his permission, offering her insights and encouraging him to keep exploring. "You don't have to rush into any answers," she reminded him one evening. "Just because society says we need to label everything doesn't mean you have to. Just be you, whoever that turns out to be." As months passed, Jessica's presence became more accepted, even natural, to Jake. He started meeting other people in the LGBTQ community, learning about their own journeys with gender and self-expression. Through these new friendships, he realized he wasn't alone in his feelings, and the solidarity helped him feel validated in ways he hadn't anticipated. Emma remained his unwavering support, helping him navigate questions and doubts, always there to lift him up. She organized a sisterhood night every month, where the two would get together to celebrate their bond, share makeup tips, and simply enjoy each other's company. What had begun as a lighthearted prank had become a bond that redefined their relationship. Eventually, Jake knew he wanted to share Jessica with others beyond Emma's circle. He started with a few close friends, opening up about his journey with nervous anticipation. To his relief, his friends were not only accepting but enthusiastic, even offering to join him on outings as Jessica. It felt empowering to be open about this side of himself and to realize that Jessica was being met with warmth and acceptance. As his comfort grew, he finally made the decision to share Jessica with his family. Emma helped him prepare for the conversation, supporting him every step of the way. Though nervous, Jake sat down with their parents and, with Emma by his side, told them about his journey, his discoveries, and his desire to keep exploring this part of himself. Their parents listened, absorbing each word with a mix of surprise and curiosity. There was an initial adjustment period, but with Emma's guidance and Jake's honesty, they came to understand that Jessica wasn't a phase or a prank, but an essential part of who Jake was becoming. Their acceptance solidified Jake's confidence in his journey. In time, Jake found a balance between Jessica and his everyday life. He didn't feel the need to choose one over the other. Instead, he embraced both aspects of his identity, allowing each to shape his understanding of self. Whether he was dressed as Jake or Jessica, he felt complete and comfortable, knowing that both parts were equally valid expressions of who he was. Jessica's influence also seeped into his daily life, reshaping his style, confidence, and relationships. He felt more empathetic, more connected to those around him, and even discovered a newfound sense of creativity in his work. Jessica had taught him to look at the world from a different angle, and he was grateful for it. One evening, as he and Emma looked back on the past year, they marveled at how far they'd come. What had started as a playful prank had evolved into something neither of them had anticipated, a journey of self-discovery, acceptance, and growth. Through Jessica, Jake had found a part of himself he never knew he needed, and with Emma's unwavering support, he'd been able to embrace it. "Thank you, Jake said, smiling as he raised a glass to his sister. "For everything." Emma clinked her glass with his, her eyes shining with pride. "You're welcome, Jessica. Here's to the journey we never saw coming." Together, they toasted to sisterhood, to self-discovery, and to the beauty of transformation. Thank you so much for watching till now. It means the world to have you here. This community is all about empowering each other and celebrating the incredible journeys of everyone on their path to living authentically. If you're ever feeling lost or alone, remember you have a whole family here for you. Hit that subscribe button. Smash that like button. And let's keep inspiring each other, sending you all the love and strength in the world. Until next time, live your life by your rules.